welcome back to the channel. I'm Batman, filling in for Jeff. In today's video, we're gonna review my latest movie on 4K, The Batman, and we'll try to solve the riddle of whether or not this one's worth picking up for your movie collection. Now, I need to go shave, so I'll pass it back to Jeff for this review. Alright everyone, so as my friend The Batman said, we are going to be taking a look at the new Warner Brothers 4K release of The Batman today. We're going to talk audio, visual, we're going to talk 4K quality, and whether or not this one's worth upgrading for your collection. I'm going to dive through how this movie was actually shot, which is pretty interesting, and some of the things that you'll notice on the 4K disc, as well as talk about some of the audio highlights and the movie itself, plus packaging and special features. So we're going to cover all the bases here. Now, in all seriousness, I want to give a shout out to costumes.com. That is where I got that Batman mask. It is from the new movie. It looks awesome. It's super authentic. It has all the stitching. It's a nice looking latex mask you can get for actually a pretty good price, and I'm pretty quickly going to be putting this one up on a mannequin head somewhere in my collection. So I know that was kind of goofy, but I hope you guys enjoyed the intro, and if you want a mask like this, check out costumes.com. I'll put a link in the description. So the Batman releases on 4K from Warner Brothers on May 24th, so I've got it a few days early here to review for you guys. And starting with the visuals, I have to say that this is as good as I thought it was going to be. It looks just as good at home as it did in the movie theaters, and that's an impressive feat. The visuals on this are interesting because of the way the movie was shot. It was shot digitally, but then cinematographer Greg Fraser, he worked on Dune. He actually just won the Oscar for Best Cinematography on Dune. He did a similar process to what he did with the Dune video, which is they shot it digitally, then they transferred it over to film to give it a little bit of grain, and then they brought it back to digital. So it's digitally shot, but you will see grain in the picture because of that new process that sort of Greg Fraser has pioneered almost, and I don't mind it. I kind of like it because it gives it that filmic look and feel, but you can still get the quality and the ease of use of digital cameras. Keep your budgets down, obviously, but you don't lose the feeling of film, especially for a movie like The Batman, which is supposed to be very gritty and sort of look like a 70s, 80s neo-noir thriller. So we do get a true 4K digital intermediate. This is also packed with HDR10 and Dolby Vision, and I have to say it looks awesome. It really looked impressive on my screen. Some of the highlights were obviously the fact that Dolby Vision enhances this picture over the Blu-ray because the movie is so dark. That added level of color information and the deeper blacks and the better contrast and brightness, that all helps make this look better on 4K than it does on Blu-ray. There are a few highlights throughout the movie that, HDR definitely enhances, but the biggest thing is definitely the contrast in black levels for me. That's where I saw the biggest difference, and I honestly found myself thinking at times that this movie looked better at home than it even did in theaters. I definitely had a hard time at points, and maybe this is just my movie theater, didn't have a great print. I didn't see this in like IMAX or Dolby Cinema, so I didn't have like the highest quality, projection or whatever, but there were some washed out moments, some moments that were hard to see that I thought were easier to see at home. Now, the detail on this is also outstanding. You still have that true 4K digital intermediate, and the movie was actually shot at even higher resolution than that. And then you do sort of lose a little bit of detail, I think on purpose, because of that cinematography process. So when you go from digital to film and then back to digital, you're scanning the movie a couple of times. And so it's not super sharp like a 4K digital to 4K digital intermediate movie would be, something like Joker or Gemini Man. It's not super sharp like that because it has that grain and it has a grittier feel, but it is still a beautiful picture, and personally I like the stylistic choice. It's not going to give you 2022 brand new hot off the press digital camera, but it's going to give you more of a 1970s, 80s detective movie, which makes a ton of sense. Now, the audio in this is equally as impressive. You've got a Dolby Atmos track, and it is a loud one and a good one. Obviously, I think the biggest highlight sequence, if you've seen this movie, is the car chase with Batman and the Penguin. That is a standout with Dolby Atmos. And the low frequency on this I thought was pretty good. I mean, even Batman just walking around, boots hitting the ground, you feel that. You're feeling that. The score, obviously, here is incredible. This has one of the best movie scores that I've ever heard, and it also has a great soundtrack and uses some really cool moments like Nirvana's Something in the Way. Like, those sound awesome in Atmos. So the whole audio experience is, I would say that's not theatrical level when you go into a big time theater and they've got, like 15, 20 speakers or whatever, but it's very, very good for an at-home experience, and it's one of the better Atmos tracks that I've heard. It is really full of action, and it's full of movement across the surround sound and across the height speakers. And when you're at the mayor's funeral and the helicopter flies overhead before they get into the building, that is a real highlight moment. Again, the car chase, the fight at the end of the movie with all that's going on at different heights, it all sounds incredible with Dolby Atmos. So it's definitely one that I would recommend listening to on as many speakers and as great a speaker as you can. Now, the other nice thing about this is that they've actually taken some care with packaging and special features. I've got the standard edition. I like the slipcover here. It's simple, it's to the point. And then on the inside, you're getting the same sort of thing. Here's the slip. On the inside, you've got your disc art, 4K. You've got Blu-ray, and then you also have this special features disc, which is awesome. I'll talk about that in a second. But there are also steelbook variations and a couple of retailer exclusives, so plenty of options here. No surprise given how big this movie was, but you do have plenty of packaging options. But I do sort of like the standard slipcover. I like what they did. It's very clean, minimalist, gets the point across, and it is in line with the style and theme of the movie. Now, as I said, there is an additional special features disc here. No special features are on the 4K disc, mostly I would assume because it's a very high quality scan. You only have so much room on a disc, and it's a 3-hour movie, so that probably filled most of the disc. Same with the Blu-ray. So you get this additional special features Blu-ray. It has over 2 hours of special features. That's a lot for a recent release. Even Spider-Man No Way Home only had an hour of special features or so. So this is really good. You've got a Vengeance in the Making. It's a making of documentary with the cast and crew. Love seeing that. That's not usually something you get on these mainstream releases. It has deleted scenes with a commentary from Matt Reeves. It has Anatomy of the Car Chase, which is an awesome featurette with the Batmobile sort of highlighted, but a breakdown of that scene, which is one of my favorites in the movie. You've also got a couple of other short featurettes. You've got the Batman Genesis, you've got Becoming Catwoman, and then there's a few other features as well. So it's really packed with stuff. I mean, it's good behind the scenes content, and especially just like getting a making of documentary or director's commentary on deleted scenes. Like, those are just the extras that you usually don't get these days with the major releases. You might see those on boutique Blu-rays, but not with the big mainstream stuff. So overall, this is a must-have disc. I assumed it would be, and it definitely is. And if you can afford the 4K and you have 4K upgrades and you've got your 4K TV and Dolby Atmos, you need to own this on 4K. Typically with these movies, I see a slight difference between Blu-ray and 4K because, the Blu-ray is already pretty good. But this is one where it's worth the extra $5. Go for it. It's a true 4K scan. It looks beautiful. The film grain that's kind of overlaid on top, it's going to look much better on 4K than on Blu-ray. And the addition of HDR and Dolby Vision is what really takes this to the next level and makes it almost a better viewing experience than the theater. So overall, just great visuals, great audio. Can easily see this making a top 10 end of the year list for 2022. It was as good as I hoped it would be. And of course, the movie too, I loved. I love Detective Batman. I love gritty Batman. I'm not a huge fan of comic book Iron Man Batman like they did in sort of like Dawn of Justice and the Justice League, where he's got all the gadgets and, he's flying around. I much prefer the gritty detective version. That's what I grew up on. That's why I loved this movie. Matt Reeves killed this. This is in my opinion, the best Batman movie. The Dark Knight is a great comic book movie, but this is the best Batman movie, and Robert Pattinson is a great
Batman, and I'm really curious to see what he does next with Bruce Wayne as that character evolves. So super excited for the sequel. Loved this and loved the 4K disc. So if you want to pick it up, I'll put a link down in the description where you can pick this one up on 4K for your collection. That helps support my channel. And also make sure you check out that link to costumes.com, because that's where you can get your officially licensed Batman mask, which is the actual, mask and sort of upper body portion from Robert Pattinson's Batman costume. So it's not just some generic thing. It is 100% his mask from this movie, and I can't wait to get it up in my collection. So thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed and like this video so others will see it. And also make sure you have notifications on, because that's the best way to get notified about all my newest videos, podcasts, posts, all that good stuff. Also make sure to follow us on social media. All the links will be in the description for that. And as always, check out the Films at Home podcast. We got some great guests coming up. Tons of new content weekly on the podcast, which I also post here. But if you want the audio version for when you're commuting or driving around, that's a great option too. It's on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. So check out those links. And then I just appreciate all the support and all the love the channel's been getting lately with the home video history videos, all the different reviews, the podcast. You guys have been great, so I appreciate it. We're well on our way to 100K subscribers, and I cannot wait to hit that goal with this community. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy out there, and I'll talk to you soon.